So I grew up in a pretty conservative place in Utah. Grew up Mormon, pretty devout Christian. And dude, I was like 9 years old. I fell into lust looking up like Megan Fox in bikinis after I had just watched Transformers 1. And it was a pretty rare occasion that I would look something up like that. But as I started to get older and into middle school, into high school, pornography became and lust became a daily escape, something that I would use to escape inadequacy, apathy, just all these difficult emotions that any high schooler goes through, right? And in the church you serve a mission when you're 19, and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna not really work on overcoming my lust patterns, my pornography, until I serve a mission at 19. And then that's when I'll leave everything behind. And I went on my mission they sent me down to Mexico. I had like a little flip phone, and there was no way to look at pornography. We had like 1 hour a week to write our family, and I was not spending that time looking up pornography. I was writing my friends, writing my family. And I thought, dude, I've overcome it. Like, that was it. That's all I needed. I just needed to serve a mission. And as my mission came to an end and I came back to Utah and I got my smartphone again, it wasn't even 2 or 3 months later that I fell back into lust. And I was, how lust starts. It's spacious. It doesn't happen very often, but the more that you do it, it slowly becomes worse and worse and more frequent and more explicit. That's kind of what happened. Is after my mission, it just slowly got more frequently, more explicit. And dude, the shame was terrible, because I was like, bro, returned missionaries don't struggle with this, right? Like that's a thing that I was supposed to leave behind when I was 19. Now I'm 22, still struggling with it. And I told myself, dude, I'm never going to get married until I overcome this. And I dated a few girls, and things were going good. I really liked them, but I hadn't overcome this yet. And so I actually broke up with them and just told them these vague things of like, I needed to work on myself, I needed to do this, that. I never told them the actual truth of why I was breaking up with them. And again, I was like, dude, I'm not getting married until I get this figured out. And I was about 23, no, I was 24, and I met my dream girl, my now wife. Her name's Sarah. And I just knew that, like, bro, she was the one. I knew that she had something special. I knew that we could create an awesome relationship. And, things progressed really fast in that relationship. And I was like, okay, dude, I'm gonna marry this girl, and I'm not gonna tell her about pornography, because I figured in my brain, if I get married and I'm able to have sex and be intimate with my spouse, I won't need pornography anymore. And that's what I thought, and that's what I was gonna do. And I went to my dad and asked him for some advice, and he told me, he's like, yo, like, you need to tell her, like, you can't control the outcome here, but you need to tell her that this is something that you struggle with. And I took my dad's advice. I went and told my wife, Sarah, now wife, we were dating for a couple weeks at that point, and I told her that I have this struggle, and I thought that she was going to break up with me. I was just like, totally, that's what's going to happen. She's not going to like this. But she ended up having a lot of empathy for me. She obviously wasn't stoked to hear that by any means, but she was okay with just like how devoted I was to working on it, and she felt hope that we were going to figure this out together. Not that she was saving me in any way, but we both thought, like, hey, we're going to get married, and this is going to go away. And so we got married. We went on the honeymoon. We had the honeymoon phase. It was amazing. And the first like 8 months of marriage, bro, I was clean as a whistle, dude. I didn't struggle with pornography at all. And I was in door-to-door sales. I was in a very high stressed sales job at the time. I was recruiting teams. I was managing 50 plus guys, all doing door to door, which is a crazy thing to do. Door to door is crazy, but now imagine managing 50, 18 to 21-year-old dudes that have never done door to door before. And the stress of life really just started to hit me. And I remember the first time that I looked at porn while we were married, and I just felt horrible, bro. And I went and told Sarah, I told her everything that had happened. And, you know, kind of like what we were discussing earlier, the way lust and pornography works is it slowly starts out and it progressively just gets worse and more explicit. And, you know, following over a year of time, I just kept messing up more frequently, more frequently, more frequently. And, you know, we're about 2 years into marriage, and Sarah comes to me and she's like, hey, I don't know, I don't want a divorce. I want to be with you, but I don't know how much longer I can handle this. And that just like really hit me hard. And I think it was like the next day that we were driving to California. That's where I was selling. We had a big Sprinter van, and that's where we had like all of our stuff that we were moving. And I had driven most of the way, and I was taking a nap in the back while she was driving. And I just felt so hopeless that day. I was like, dude, I can't overcome this. I can't beat this. And I just felt just empty inside. And Sarah, she at one point while she was driving, I don't know if she like swerved or was hitting something, but she swerved and hit the rumble strips like really hard. And mind you, we're going 80 miles per hour in a Sprinter van. I'm in the back with no seatbelt. We're on the freeway where there's 2 ditches on both sides. If we go off, we're rolling. Like, there's no way I would survive a car accident in the back of a Sprinter van without a seatbelt, with a bunch of heavy stuff that we're moving. Like, it wouldn't have happened. And when I felt like we were going off the road, my initial feeling was peace. I was like, oh, it's over. Like, I just felt like, oh, I don't need to fight this anymore. Like, oh, like, I've never really had like suicidal thoughts, but having a near-death experience, or what I would say is a near-death experience, the initial feeling was peace and like, I'm done. I don't need to worry about this anymore. And we ended up not crashing. She swerved back onto the road, and I remember just sitting there in the back being like, wow, like it has come to the point where I would rather die than try and figure this out. Like, I'm so sick and tired of trying to fight this. I've been fighting it for 15 years now, and I just am done. I'm over it. And that is when this shift happened. And logically in my brain, I said, if what I'm doing is not working, why do I keep trying the same thing over and over and over again? Like, I need a blank canvas. I need to start from scratch. And so that's what I did. I thought I knew a lot about addiction. I took everything, I threw it off the table, and I started fresh. I started researching. I started really trying to understand what this is and how to handle this. And I know I'm not the only guy that struggles with this. Most men struggle with this, but why isn't anybody like attacking this or like trying to understand it and trying to help people with it? And one of the first things that I learned was that shame fuels addiction, not just pornography, any addiction. People that have shame associated with their addiction are 66% less likely to overcome it than someone that doesn't have shame. And so I started researching what's the best and fastest way to get rid of shame. And the thing that came up was talk to people, open up. You know, I had only talked to my wife at this point. I hadn't talked to any friends or people that I looked up to. And so I started talking to people, and it felt like the grips of addiction just like started to loosen a little bit on me. And so anybody that is struggling with pornography or with lust, I would highly, highly recommend talking to someone about it and getting it out into the open. The second thing that I realized is porn is just a symptom. Porn is the tip of the iceberg, right? It's not the actual problem. There's something deeper going on that that the one who is using pornography is using it to escape. And the big question is, escape from what, right? I had to go in, do my own internal work and understand what is it that I am running from. And a lot of guys will say, oh, it's boredom, it's stress, it's loneliness. It's like, but why? Why are you lonely? Why are you stressed? Is it because your whole life you've tied your worth to being a productive human being, and now that you're not productive, you feel like crappy and you feel stressed? Like, what is with the loneliness? Like, were you rejected at one point? Like, usually there is some sort of trauma underneath. Little t trauma and big T trauma. Big T trauma is like abuse and all that, and little t trauma is like someone called you fat in the 4th grade, right? Like, those are things that I'm talking about. And if we can heal those parts of us, then what I've found in my own journey, the desire for porn actually goes down. I used to think that overcoming pornography would be just like, on May 3rd, I just like white knuckled and I never viewed again. But what I actually realized was, if you heal the root of it, your desire to view goes down, and it's much less of a fight than it is. The urges, there's a lot less urges. It's just a lot easier if you go through that way. And then some things that I've learned as well for the people looking for more like practical advice on this is, your environment will beat your willpower every single day of the week. And so I would, challenge you to really start to get curious of, when are these times that you're turning to pornography? For me, it was if I stayed up late without my wife, if I slept in and my wife wasn't in town, if I, scrolling on Twitter in my office by myself. Like, these are environments that I had to get rid of. I don't have Twitter on my phone. I don't have Reddit. I don't have these things on my phone because I know that my willpower isn't that strong. And I curate my environment so I don't have to deal with urges and all of this. And then the last thing I'll say, what got me to the point where I am, where I feel completely free. I'm not perfect, but like, I feel free. I don't, it's not something that I really think about anymore. I know how to handle urges. If there is a mess up, I know how to talk to my wife. I know how to move forward from it. And, honestly, I don't remember the last time that I looked at porn. And I think that's the goal. Like, I don't think it should be May 3rd was the last, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, I don't remember, because it's not that important to me. So the last thing that I'll say is, even knowing these principles and these things that worked, it still has taken me like 2 to 3 years to really tweak and dial everything in. And so the last thing is, we always want progress over perfection. Too many guys, they're putting too much weight on perfection, and that's why I believe they aren't progressing, is because they're trying to be perfect. And it's like, no, let's just go for progression right now. And, with years of progression, that's where I believe real change happens. And it takes time. So be really patient with yourself. I'm still a student. I'm still learning, but I want to share, my journey and how my journey has been with this, because I think every man needs to master 3 things. He needs to master his work, he needs to master his woman, and he needs to master his sexual desires. And I hear a lot of talk about relationships. I hear a lot of talk about how to build a business, but I don't hear a lot of talk about how to master like your sexual urges and your sexual desires, right? And pornography is a big part of that. And so I'm here to share, my journey. I'm here to be raw, open with you guys, and hopefully this helps some of you guys out.